All of you can hear me, right? I'm audible. All right. Only 2 people are replying. So if you see my screen right now, right, to quickly summarize, we discuss continuous integration, continuous delivery. We discuss about the assembly line model. We discuss about 3 stages here and 3 stages there. 6 stages, we call it as an assembly line. There are various stages of the assembly line that you can put together to build. We understood the challenges that you will have in DevOps 1.0, how the challenges are addressed in DevOps 2.0. In DevOps 1.0, you need operational guys and developers both. In DevOps 2.0, mostly you need a developers, not an operational guys. Right, so this was the discussion that we had. So in today's lecture we will continue with our DevOps series. We'll do a couple of other use cases so that you guys can familiarize with how you can mix and match and build assembly line. So in today's class we will focus on production. In yesterday's class we focused on dev. In today's lecture we'll focus on production. So let me pull my Excel sheet. Okay. Right, so in today's class we're going to work on production environment, right? So what we want to do is we want to use code commit services for source control. Code commit. This code commit is integrated with code deploy, right? And then we will also add a jump server here. A jump box. Right, so a typical use case that I'm trying to demonstrate, because all production environment will have jump box. You will first tunnel into the jump box, and through there you will access your environment, and you will also have all the tools that you need to orchestrate and maneuver your work in the jump box. Hence we will be using Linux jump box here, because mostly if it is a non.NET environment that we're looking at, Java, PHP, Ruby on Rails, anything, it typically happens on Linux. So this is my Linux machine. This is an EC2 instance. This is my Linux machine, and this will be built on EC2. This is code commit, which is serverless. It is a replacement for Git, where you store codes. There's a replacement for Git. Right, and this one will be a code deploy. It's a service which does the code deployment on more than one server, right? It could be on premise or on cloud. It can do both, right? So in today's lecture we're going to do a deployment on EC2, but you can do this on premise also, right? So this is the whole 3 stage. In yesterday we did 2 stages. In today's lecture we will do 3 stage. Along with that we have a code in GitHub.
Can I disturb you, please?
Yeah, you can disturb me, buddy.
Who is using the jump box, the developer or the end user? So
both, not end user, developer and infrastructure guys.
Okay,
this is
so
not for end user.
Sorry. It is from the company's environment to the AWS, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So GitHub we have, so we have code here. We will migrate it, right? GitHub from to. Right, so we have some code in the GitHub repository. We'll migrate from the code, bring this code and to code commit, because in the lecture we're going to use code commit services here, and therefore we will use code commit. But you can use GitHub also. Both the options are available. But if you're working on a private environment, because GitHub is public, to become a GitHub private you have to pay money to GitHub. and they will make your repository private. Otherwise, your repository is always public, and you do not want your company's IPs and developments are exposed to the internet. You would like to keep that into your private environment. So keeping that in mind, right? So let's put this together. Let me first build a jump box, but even before building a jump box, to connect one or more AWS services, we have to use IAM role. We've been using in previous series also, we were using IBM roles on various use cases. Today we are still continue to use IAM roles here, because to connect one or more services, we have to use IAM role. Services IAM. And roles. Create a role. EC2. EC2 again. Code commit. AWS code commit. Something like this. Right, you give this name here and then you click on create. So first role I have created now. Let's go back and start the jump server. EC2 launch instance, Amazon Linux. I am doing this, guys. This is where I'm working in. Jump box is what I'm building now. T2 micro. IAM role EC2 to code commit. So this is a role that you have to select, and add storage. 8 GB is fine. Jump box. I'm just going to select an existing security group, right? For this project, I only need port 22. So if you do not have an existing security group, you can create a new group. Make sure you open port 22 there. Review, and then you launch it.
In the company environment, there are so many developers are there, maybe 10, around 10 developers are there, or 3 or 4 ops guys are there. So then each developer is supposed to have a jump box and they can connect, or it will be different scenario?
There'll be only one jump box with different users, right? Different users, you can add multiple users there. And typically, see, Jumpbox is not for everyone. Jumpbox is basically for guys who are building packages, who are doing build work, right? Only those guys would use. So you will have sysops administrators, you have DevOps administrators. All does not need access to Jumpbox. Only guys who are building packages, building codes, right? Compiling codes. Those guys will have access to Jumpbox. So typically 3-4 guys will have. It'll be one Linux environment and 3-4 users will be created. Or you can have each jump box for each user also, so that the environment is isolated. That can also be done. So both use cases are possible. So basically what you're doing is you're giving them a separate environment to play with it, right? Then you can avoid completely by not having a jump box, and you can do that work on your laptop. You can download the code on your laptop, you can run build tools, you can run command, and you can do all that in the laptop. And once you're sure that the code is ready, you can push back to the cloud. That can also be done, right? But mostly as a best practice, enterprises prefer having a jump box on the cloud, and they also want to ensure that the code does not leave the cloud. The code remains in the data center, remains in the cloud. Code does not leave the data center, because sometimes what happens, it goes to your laptop. People might steal and go, or your laptop is affected with ransomware, the code goes to your laptop. You do some compiling or build, your ransomware will be mixed with that, and then when you push back to the cloud, right, it has it. Hence, having a jump box on the cloud will ensure that all your tools are pre-installed, pre-configured, that you just log in, you play with it, and you leave it right there. Your code does not leave out. Making sense? So you can have one jump box created with multiple users, or you can have separate jump box for separate users.
Okay, but ultimately they are going to commit the code onto the GitHub.
GitHub or code commit.
Code commit. Okay, okay. Thank you, Ian.
You're welcome. Okay, my server is ready right now. EC2-user sudo su. Okay, so I am logged into the environment right now. So it is just a simple Linux machine. I do not have build tools. I do not have Git tools, nothing I have here. So therefore what I need to do is I need to install two things. One is Git CLI. Right, I think for this lab we will only install Git CLI. I think it is enough. So let's go and install Git CLI. Yum install git -y. Where am I? I'm here, right? Now I don't have a code here. There's nothing, the directory is empty, I don't have a code. So there's a ready-made code that is already there in AWS that we will go and pick it up. Sorry, in GitHub, we'll go and pick it up. So I'll go to my repository here. Under my repository, so today's project is Code Deploy Linux, right? We're working with Code Deploy here. Module on AWS OpsWork QuickBooks, X-Ray demo, right? Click this and I'll copy this link. You copy this link, and in order to download this, if it is a non-GitHub package, you typically do wget. You wget and you give the url.zip file and you download the package. That is what we did with some of the e-commerce application. We did this with Tiger, some CRM application, and couple of other applications we worked with, right? So in this case, we will be using a different command here because we have a repository in GitHub. Therefore, we'll use a command called git clone, right? Instead of using wget, we'll use git clone, and then we'll paste the URL that I have copied. I got this URL from here that I have copied, so I pasted the URL here, right? It says https://sohailadnan/myprojectname.git. So this is a git file that is available. I'll hit enter and it'll download it. Now if I do ll here, I have the folder now, which was previously unavailable. Now if I get inside and if I do ll, you see appspec.yaml file. That means this is a fully built package. That means this is a fully built package. I don't have to run a build command or build. There's an index page here. There's a licensing page. There's a readme file. There are a couple of scripts that you have here. Now, if you go back, that is exact same structures. Net script, license, readme file, appspec.yaml index. All 5 components are available. Now I don't want to build anything. I can, as it is, I can take it up and I can push this to code commit. So going back to my diagram here, I'm going to work on code commit now. Go back to my EC2 services, and you have code commit here, right here, code commit. And as I told you before, it's a repository service by AWS, which is a clone of GitHub. I'm just giving a repository name, or I can give the same repository name that I saw here. What was AWS? none, create. So I have my repository here, and I have done this. I've configured the IAM role also. Set up a CLI helper. Learn more. Mm, just bear with me here. Okay, there you go. So you have to set up an helper here so that you can talk to code commit. So what I'm doing is I'm going to copy this, go back to my putty screen, and then paste it. So my helper is set up right now. My helper is ready. Now let's go back. So if you see right now, my repository is empty. There is nothing here, right? So I need to add a file, clone, and I'm going to clone this using an HTTPS. Right, it is giving me the path here. The path is copied already, right? All I have to do is ls git push and the path here, and the code is pushed there. It says the code is pushed. Let me refresh this page. And there you go, the code is reflecting here, right? There's one more trick. You could have simply clicked on add file and you could have uploaded the file, and you could have completely eliminated a need of having a jump box and that IAM role, right? But it is not a standard practice. You don't typically download codes and you upload codes from your local machine. We want to avoid that. So that is why I did not show it to you, but otherwise all you have to do is just click on upload, right? You choose a FileKit file that you have locally downloaded into your computer and click on open and upload, and this will upload it, right? It is not a standard best practice, and don't use this in the interview. I'll give you a simple example, right? Can someone tell me how do you terminate an instance, or how do you stop an instance? What is the steps that you need to follow to terminate or stop an instance in EC2? Go ahead, tell me what is the step to turn off the Linux machine or shut down the Linux machine or a Windows machine in EC2. Nobody knows how to stop or how to terminate an instance in EC2. Select EC2 action and terminate. This is how you terminate, right? Though Mahesh, you're technically correct, you failed in the interview. right? So in order to terminate or stop an instance, first thing you need to do is you need to raise a change request, right? In the ITSM tool that you have, you raise a change request and you go through an approval process where you get it approved, and then you first take a backup and then you do that change, whether you shut down the machine or you terminate the machine. This is what expected in the interview. But from a technical standpoint, this is absolutely correct. You select an instance and you terminate and you check the machine, right? So likewise in code commit example also, though you have an option of uploading it, try articulating through a jump box. How do you upload a code? How do you bring a code? And how do you commit or push the code into your code commit? Never say that, okay, there's an upload button where you click and you upload a file. You will be rejected in the interview. What da, Mr. Mahesh?
Yes, I got it. Can you please repeat the first step what you configured with the AWS code commit? You added some CLI.
First thing I did is I created an IAM role, and then I created a jump box. I logged in and installed AWS CLI, and then I went to GitHub, right? I downloaded the code into the jump box, and then I pushed the code from jump box to code commit.
Yeah, the main step you are added something that from the CLI. You just search onto the Google
helper. It is just an helper.
Helper, yeah, helper. Okay.
Setting up and helper here. So what this will do is it will eliminate a need of asking for a username and password. Instead, it will use the role that I have created in EC2.
Okay. Can you just paste that URL to our? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right. So let's continue then. So now the code is in my code commit, and you see the code commit repository. Right. So this is ready now. I have got my code here. Now I have to go and build my code deploy environment. But before I could build a code deploy environment, I have to create one more role here, which can talk from code commit to my code deploy. And there's another role from code deploy to my EC2 instance. So let's go and build this. IAM roles, create a role, EC2 again, EC2 role, EC2 role for AWS code deploy. There you go. This is the first role that you have to select. Tag, name, something like this. So EC2 instance role, and then you click on create. Right? Or you can give any name that you want. You have to create one more role. You will select code deploy directly here and code deploy again. Permissions, it's already selected. Name, EC2 service role, something like this. EC2 hyphen service hyphen. That's it. Right now, let's go back to EC2. Right now, unlike Beanstalk in yesterday's class, Beanstalk was a skin over an EC2 instance, and if you tell Beanstalk to create an instance, it will create an instance. But however, in case of code deploy is specifically designed for production, so you need to tailor every aspect of the infrastructure. Right, so that is what we're going to do here. I'm going to continue to use this Amazon Linux machine for this exercise. This will be done on T2 Micro. Now, instead of doing it on one machine, I want to do it on two deployments. I just want to demonstrate that if I have 10 servers, I can roll the codes on all 10 servers at the same time, right? It should be a breeze. My DevOps should not be a hell. It should be a breeze. So two instances that I want to deploy on. I'm going to select the role that I have created. Uh, EC2 instance role is available here. I've selected this role. And last thing that I need to do is I need to install the code commit, code deploy agent here. So let me refer my gist. Let me add this before I forget. Okay, we've got one gist here. So if you come down here, why it is like this? Let me correct this. Mm, what happened to my name here? Okay, never mind. I'll change that after the class here. Something has changed here. Anyway, so what does basically it means that is the first line you see it's a bash script. Second line I'm telling it to install AWS CLI. Third line I'm telling to move to this directory. And fourth line I'm telling that there's this file. There is this file that I want to download it from S3 bucket. Where did I find this? Again in the documentation. For everything I refer AWS documentation. I don't go on the internet and I waste my time. There are well-written documentations that are available for every service as a getting started guide, a soft material that you can download to do your labs, right? So I copied it from there, and the last link is this, which says the package that you have downloaded to install this. So I'll copy the instructions quickly and go back to my EC2 and I'll paste it here. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to install the code deploy agent on the two instances once the instance is created and built. You can do this manually also. If you have 20 instances, then it is a nightmare. But if you're using a run command, then it's a breeze, right? So I'll continue now. Add storage. 8 GB is fine. I'm going to call this code deploy. Again, nothing fancy here. We'll be selecting the existing security group. I only need port 80 here. HTTP port is all I need here. Review, and then you launch it. So code deploy instances are popping up. We'll give a couple of minutes before we continue the lab. Still initializing. Code deploy. Okay, almost done. Let's get started here. Create an application. I'll say production. For production, and do you want to deploy this on Elastic Container Service? Container is will be there in your tomorrow's class. Tomorrow we will do container and containerization Lambda, which is serverless, and then you can use EC2 or on-premise. So in today's example, we will be doing a deployment on EC2. Create a deployment group. The small, I'm going to call this the small startup. And here I'll be selecting this EC2 service role that I have created. Now there are two options that are available: in place and blue-green deployment. So when you say in place, right, updates the instances in the deployment group with the latest application version, right, revision. During a deployment, each instances will be briefly used or briefly taken offline for the update. That means when you do in place deployment, your instances will go offline before the code changes happens. That is in place deployment. If you see blue-green deployment, replace the instances in the deployment group with new instances and deploy the latest application revision to them. After the instance is replaced, environments are registered with the load balance instances from the original environment. So basically what the second option means is it will not bring the instance down first. Instead, it will create a brand new instance, deploy the application there, add that instance to a load balancer, and then remove the other instance down. So in the first example, it will not create a new instance. It will take the existing instance offline, put the code and bring it online. But in case of a second example, it will have a new server running this code first before it is bringing the old server down. So I want to configure this environment with Amazon EC2 instances. And I think it is right here. All at once, half at once, and one at a time. So one at a time means it will just put one first server first, and then it will go to the second server, then third server, then fourth server, and then fifth server. That is how the cycle will continue. But in case of half at a time, that means if you have 7 machines, it will deploy it on 3 first and 4 later. Or if you have 10 machines, 5 first and 5 later. All at a time is it will update it on all the machines at the same time. So in this case, I have only 2 machines. So I'll put it on all the machines at the same time. We don't need load balancer for this exercise. And then I'll click on create a deployment. So my deployment is ready right now. Now there's nothing on this server. Let's test. So this server is empty. There's nothing on this server. Let me look for. Still there is nothing, right? If you go back to the discussion here, we have just prepared this environment. Now we need to create a pipeline, a pipeline has to be created where it can pick up a code from code commit and do the deployment on code deploy. Services and code pipeline. Create a pipeline here. Existing service role. I'll select this role that was created yesterday, although you can select a new role here. And select an existing bucket. This is already a pipeline bucket that I have. So I'll select an existing bucket for this class. Next, right? It is asking where do you have a code? Yesterday we selected GitHub. Today we're gonna select code commit. And there you go. The code that I have pushed is showing up right here. Next, again, no build. At least in this lab, no build. The following lab, I will use a build and I will show it to you. Now, in yesterday's lecture, we used Beanstack. In today's lecture, we will use code deploy. Production, the small startup. Next. And then you create a pipeline. Now what this pipeline is doing is it's picking up the code from my code commit. Yesterday this was doing from GitHub repository. Today it is doing from code commit. It'll do the deployment on code deploy. And yesterday it did it on one server. Today it's going to do it on both the servers simultaneously. Right. So kindly bear with me and watch this happening in action. Okay, it is successful. Let's go and check. There you go. We are ready. Congratulations, you have successfully deployed this. On the second server also refresh. You see how things are working in action here, right? Now let's go back and fiddle with the repository that we have. Let me go to code commit here. Open my repository. Open index.html page. Edit. Let me edit background color. Something like this. And I'm gonna give author name. Email. BG color change, something like this. Okay, you commit the changes here. So once you commit the changes, your pipeline can see that you have done the changes and your pipeline will automatically pick up from here. If you see, I just refreshed the page and it's showing in progress. Let's go back and check. Refresh this. It has changed to blue color. You see how pretty neat it is? So if you're in a production environment and if you have hundreds of machines that you want to roll code deploy is an answer for you, right? So we are doing all the mix and match, all the combos that we are working with. Today we tried with multiple combos. Yesterday we tried with a couple of other combos, right? But is there a way where we can build the entire assembly line with one click? The answer is yes, right? The only reason why I had to do yesterday's and today's lab is to just to show you that there's a manual way of creating it, right? But it is important because this will help you out to troubleshoot if there's a problem with the pipeline, or if there's a problem with the source repository, it's a problem with something else, you can manually navigate and you can do all this, right? But there's a service called CodeStar. Not available in Mumbai, we will do this in Virginia. Right, so click on start a project. Now all you have to do is you have to just tell, hey, my development environment is Java, PHP, .NET, and I need 5 developers. That's it. The entire assembly line, all the stages, all the roles, everything that we created manually, the system will automatically create and give it to you in 10 minutes. That's all, right? So if you have a project A and the project A is for 3 months, you just go to CodeStar, create the project and give it to them in 10 minutes. They can use it for 3 months. After this, you can chuck it out. If you have a long-term project, you can use CodeStar. With just one click for an entire project, it will create an entire DevOps for you in 10 minutes and give it to you, right? So my favorite is Python here. Let's do some Python projects. On the left hand side, you can click, there are various development languages that it currently supports. So I have taken Python here and I'll be doing a Django project. So I'm going to click the second option and I'm going to say new project. For Python, something like this. I can use a repository, either I can use GitHub and I can use the code that is there on the GitHub, or I can use a repository on the GitHub to send a code and do my development, or I can use code commit also. Let's do with code commit. Next, if you see the entire assembly line, right, the beginning of the assembly line is missing and the end of the assembly line is missing, right? In the end, you get tracking and reporting with this Jira, and in the beginning, you get the tool stage where you write code, such as Eclipse or Visual Studio or Cloud9, for example, right? But however, if you see the build and test stage, right, it is not available because it is just in time. When you have a code ready to build, this will appear automatically, and when it is not there, it will disappear automatically for you, right? So it will come in later stage. Create project. I'll select my key here and create a project. Now it is asking with which tool you would like to integrate. Would you like to integrate this with Visual Studio, Eclipse, or command line tools, right? In today's lecture, we will be using AWS Cloud9 because I made a big buzz about this in yesterday's class, how revolutionary the product is. So you need to learn this, so I will show it to you. Next, this will be on T2 Micro. Next again, and then you launch. So what it is doing is, I just told it I want Python. Everything else it will automatically select and create an environment for me in 10 minutes. While this is doing it, let me show you how do you add your development team. You have to go to team here, click on add a team member, and you search for a team. For example, in our last class, we had Divi. We will select Divi, and we discussed Divi is a contributor, is a developer. He writes code. We will add Divi here, right, as a contributor. Who else we have, right? We have Zohrul, right? Zohrul, let's make him project manager. He's an owner. He's a project manager, right? And then you want a quality guy. Let's make Shiva quality guy. He's a viewer. He will review codes. He's a tech lead kind of a guy, right? So like this, you can create all 3 types of roles that are available, and none of them has a remote access. right? Now Divi is a developer and needs access to the command line APIs and other thing. So we will give him remote access. Allow SSH access to the projected instance. So that means he can now log into the instance. An error updating the profile to validation errors. Validation email failed to satisfy the remove. Right, add a team member. Divi is right here. He's the contributor. Give him remote access. Add. It is working now. So he has an access. He can debug code. All that he can do. So like Mahesh, you asked, you can explicitly mention in your IAM who can get access to the environment, who cannot. Right. So let me go back to dashboard here. So the environment is getting created. Right. Give me a couple of minutes for this environments to pop up. Alexa pinning. Just give me a moment, guys. I'll be right back. I'll pick up something or water or something. I'll be back. All right, I'm back, guys. You guys are still with me? Okay, who left the class? Saddam left the class. Refresh. I'm just not doing it. I'm just refreshing it to make sure that everything is populating correctly. Um, it is still building my environment. If you see, there's a source stage, and if you see, there's a build stage also. There's a deployment stage also that has automatically added. There's a Jira integration that you have. If you have a Jira account, you can simply click on connect and you can give Jira credentials and you can connect it here. Application activity on how the applications are trending, how many builds you release will show up here. From last 7 minutes, it is building the project. Let's give it a couple of more minutes here. I think this is getting created. Few more minutes and they should be ready. Okay, it is ready now. And if you see the option says start writing code. I'm going to click on this start writing code. And the Cloud9 is popping up. And this is the tool that I was talking about, right? This works over a mobile browser. It works on any browser of your choice, right? And it's a full-fledged IDE tool. Let me show you. The project is right here. And hello world, templates. And if you see index.html, so you have your file here. And you also have full terminal that is available. A full terminal that is available here. If I do ll, right, cd, new project, and if I do ll here, all my project files are available. And if I want to take this, I can say get push, and I can give the repository name and I can literally send this code to another repository. So it's a full terminal that I have. Let me also show you how does a front end would look like. Right, see my environment and there's an environment link. If I click on this link, you see, congratulations, you have just created a Python Django web application, right? Now let's do some tinkering here and let's see how does the whole pipeline would work. Okay. Working on one click, working on one click DevOps. Implementation, something like this, right? Hope to see this work. Something I have in my head, I have written it off. This is only representing that I have done a code change. You go to file and you click on save. Now the code is saved. Now you have to pass a certain parameters here. Let me clear this off. Right, the first thing is get add dot. So the changes that you have done, you would like to add those changes. Second thing is get commit, and you have to give a message here. So I will say line 62 change, something like this, right? And then finally get push origin, right? So I've done the commit right now. Now if I come here, excuse me, not here, and if you scroll down here, my code commit will pick it up right now. Let me refresh this page. And if you see, my code commit is in progress right now, and then slowly it will go to build, and then it will go to the deployment. So the build part is now integrated here, and one line change that I have done, the entire code will be compiled and rebuilt. And we are expecting to see this line change here. The line that I have highlighted will change once the cycle completes.
In the Beanstalk, we are adding all the components manually, but in the CodeStar, it is mostly automatic, isn't it?
Everything is automatic here. The entire assembly line, right? It has built the entire DevOps 2.4 for you, right? The CodeStar has built the entire DevOps 2.0 for you with just one click.
Yeah.
Right, but the only reason I still had to show you multiple use cases in a manual way is so that you guys can understand where to go and troubleshoot and which services realize where, right? But at the end of the day, you will not sit and build, create 5 roles, create environment separately, install agents and configure and build. You will not do it. The best way to do this is, as an architect, you deploy a CodeStar and let the system take care from there. So if you see here, the build is completed. Now I'm proceeding towards my deployment here. And if you see on the left hand side, it says line 62 change. That means the changes that I have done in my GitHub commit is also showing up over here. So by this way, all your developers can keep track of it and who is changing what, right? How many builds were released, how many cycles have happened, all that you can just use one CodeStar and you can do away with this. Mahesh, you have to get me some small and medium projects here from your country, man, on DevOps and migration here.
Okay, I will definitely look it. Yeah.
And Zohrul, you also have to get me some DevOps project from US. He will not talk to me. From day one, he's not talking to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We're almost done. Please bear with me. Guys, do you have any feedback pertaining to this training? Right? Is this training delivered as promised? Are you learning something from this training? Do you think training is too fast? Do you think training is too slow? Do you guys have any feedback? You can share it with me, or you can go back to your counselors and you can share with them. You can let them know how we are doing it. If it is bad, pathetic, let us know. We'll work on that.
At the end of this class, can we take a one live example about all the implementation in the current industry? Of course, this is also in the current industry, but if you took the middle or small organization, so how they are working in the current scenario?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is taking longer than usual. I think let me refresh this page. Okay, it is done. Let me go back and check here. So the highlighted area should change after refresh. And if I refresh, if you see here, it is changed. So this is called CI/CD, where a developer is making changes on Cloud9, and in your Beanstalk or in your development environment, the changes are happening. All this is happening near real time. They are not real time, but they are near real time, right? About 2, 3, 5 minutes of delay that has been happening, so that it has to go through various stages to do its thing, but it is still doing it instead of taking it a few hours or maybe days to make this happen. Now, right, then we can go to a restroom, get freshen up. By the time he comes back, his results are appearing here, right? So this is CodeStar, right? I want you to sit and explore the Cloud9 tool that we have here.
One more question. We cannot use it is in the development, in the production environment here, because the URL which is coming, it's from the CodeStar, and we cannot use that URL for the end users.
See,
Not
it
in the
is.
production.
See, the whole CodeStar is DevOps. It is for development and operations. It is not for
Yeah.
production, right?
Okay.
So as I said, once the code is ready, you push this to a code commit repository number 2, right? So if I go back to my code commit here,
Yeah.
where did it go? services, and if you go to my code commit, in the code commit I'll have more than one repository. You will have repository for development, you also have repositories for staging, you have repositories for production, right? So from development it'll go to staging, and from staging it will finally be committed to production. Whatever code that you commit to a production repository, you will have a different pipeline which will be connected to code deploy, that will pick it up and will deploy it on the instances that you have.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah,
Making sense?
yeah.
Anybody has any more questions, guys, before I pack up today's lecture? Zuhrul, Divi, Shiva. Praneeth. All right then. So let's wind up the lecture for today, and I'll see you tomorrow. So tomorrow we will be doing Elastic Container Service, which is also known as Docker. And in tomorrow's lecture, we will also be doing auto scaling, right? So stay tuned, boys, and please practice. And I will see you tomorrow then. You guys take care. Bye.